In every community, there are figures we look up to, pillars of strength and morality we believe we know inside and out. Pastors, rabbis, imams, people of faith who guide us. We trust them, we confide in them, and we see their families as extensions of that goodness. But what happens when the image of perfection is just a mask? What if the home that seems so blessed is actually a private hell? This is the story of Sarah, a pastor's wife, a woman many saw as the epitome of grace and devotion. But behind the closed doors of the parsonage, a different, terrifying story was unfolding. Sarah met Pastor David at a church conference. He was charismatic, his sermons moved congregations to tears, and his passion for his faith was infectious. When he proposed, it felt like a dream come true. She was going to be the wife of a man doing God's work, a partner in his mission. Their wedding was a beautiful affair, celebrated by the entire congregation. Everyone said they were the perfect couple, a match truly made in heaven. In the beginning, David was attentive, loving, and his public persona matched the man she knew in private. They were a team, building a community and a life together. But slowly, things started to change. It began with small things, subtle shifts in his behavior. A sharp, critical comment about her dress. A flash of anger in his eyes when dinner wasn't ready on time. He'd apologize immediately after, blaming the stress of his work, the pressures of leading a growing flock. Sarah, ever the supportive wife, would forgive him, telling herself that everyone has bad days. She'd pray for his peace and try harder to be the perfect wife he needed. She believed her role was to ease his burdens, not add to them. The first time he hit her, it was a slap across the face that sent her stumbling. The shock was so profound, she couldn't even process it. It happened after a Sunday service. A parishioner had complimented her on a song she sang, and David had been strangely quiet on the drive home. The moment the door closed, he accused her of seeking attention, of trying to steal his spotlight. Before she could even defend herself, his hand flew. The silence that followed was deafening, broken only by his ragged breaths and her silent tears. Then came the apologies, the promises it would never happen again, the claims that he was just so stressed, so overwhelmed. He begged for her forgiveness, and because she loved him, and because she had built her entire life around him and his ministry, she gave it. But it did happen again, and again. The verbal criticisms escalated into regular tirades. The shoves became punches. The violence became a dark, predictable rhythm in their lives, always followed by a period of remorse and affection that gave her a sliver of hope. This honeymoon phase was what kept her trapped. He would bring her flowers, write her poetry, and preach about love and forgiveness from the pulpit, making her question her own reality. Was she the problem? Was she provoking him? He was a man of God, after all. How could he be this monster? The congregation saw only Pastor David, the brilliant and compassionate leader. They saw Sarah, his quiet, smiling wife, always by his side. They saw a perfect family. No one saw the bruises she carefully covered with makeup and long sleeves. No one heard the late-night arguments or the sounds of breaking glass. Her isolation was absolute. Who could she tell? Who would believe that the man they all admired was capable of such cruelty? Telling someone would mean destroying not just her own life, but his reputation, his career, and the faith of the community he led. The weight of that secret was crushing her. One evening, after a particularly brutal beating left her with a cracked rib, Sarah lay in bed, every breath a stab of pain. She looked at her reflection in the darkened window, a stranger with haunted eyes and a swollen face. She realized that if she stayed, he might eventually kill her. The love she once felt had been replaced by a primal fear for her own life. The man she had married was gone, replaced by a violent abuser hiding behind a clerical collar. The sacred vows they took to love, honor, and cherish had become a license for him to control, dominate, and harm her. It was in that moment of agonizing clarity that a flicker of defiance ignited within her. Her life was worth more than his reputation. Her safety was more important than the congregation's comfort. Gathering every ounce of courage she had left, she started to make a plan. She began secretly documenting her injuries, taking pictures on a hidden phone. She confided in one trusted friend from her past, someone outside the church who wouldn't be blinded by David's charisma. Just speaking the words out loud, "My husband is abusing me," felt like a monumental act of rebellion. The day she finally left was the hardest day of her life. She waited until he was at a church meeting, packed a single bag with her evidence and a few belongings, and drove away without looking back. She went straight to a domestic violence shelter, a place where she was finally safe, where people listened and, most importantly, believed her. With the shelter's support, she filed a police report and obtained a restraining order. When the news broke, the community was shattered. Disbelief and denial were the initial reactions. Many defended their beloved pastor, accusing Sarah of lying, of trying to ruin a good man. The backlash was immense and painful. But Sarah held her ground, supported by her friend and the advocates at the shelter. She presented her evidence, the photos, the medical records, the timeline of abuse. The truth, ugly and undeniable, began to surface. Slowly, the tide of opinion began to turn as a few other church members came forward with their own stories of David Seth's manipulative behavior and explosive temper. The legal process was grueling, but Sarah found a strength she never knew she possessed. She was no longer just a pastor's wife. She was a survivor. She was a warrior. In the end, David was held accountable for his actions. He was removed from his position and his carefully constructed image was shattered forever. Sarah's journey to healing was long. It involved therapy, support groups, and rediscovering the woman she was outside of her marriage. She learned that true faith isn't about protecting institutions or powerful men. It's about protecting the vulnerable and speaking truth, even when it's difficult. Her story is a powerful reminder that abuse can happen anywhere, in any home, even the ones that seem the most perfect. It wears many masks, and one of the most deceptive is the mask of piety. If you are watching this and something in Sarah's story resonates with you, please know you are not alone. Abuse is never your fault, and help is available. Reaching out is the first and bravest step. You can contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline or a local shelter. They are there to listen, to believe you, and to help you find a path to safety. Sarah's story shows us that even in the darkest of places, there is hope, and the courage to save your own life is the greatest strength of all. Thank you for listening. Please share this video to help raise awareness. You never know who might need to hear this message.